Hey, man, it's great to meet you. Been a big fan since you were on Big Brother. It's weird kind of that you're here right now, but, I just think that you have a all-around good attitude, and you're kind of very humble in your, I don't know how you say your, like, celebrityism or however you say, like, how you carry yourself, but you reach out to fans and, you just kind of tell your story, and you're very transparent and,
I appreciate that.
No bullshit. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you got to be no BS in this world. I mean, I guess I'm more humble in my actual life, like my private life, than I am, I guess, in, my TV competitor life. It's hit or miss. So I like to be how I am in my real life all the time. And then once it's game mode, that's what it is. So it's either hit or miss. You either think I'm humble or you think I'm not humble. But I try to be as transparent as possible in everything that I do. And I try to, influence as many people as I can in a positive way. Because I feel like everybody does it in such a negative way nowadays that it's just kind of becoming toxic everywhere. So that's not me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and having that kind of in your head that you have some sort of pull and, people do really support you out there. It could go to your head and kind of, but I feel like overall the way that you've kind of dealt with all of it and, carry yourself, social media and then, out in the real world. I saw you posted something on social media the other day. Some girl was like a fan of yours. You ran into her friends at like some ice cream shop or some shit instead, and she was upset or I don't know if she was upset, but like you left something for her, but you didn't get to see her.
Yeah, I didn't get to see her.
I just thought that was really cool, like you still, made the effort and you weren't,
Yeah, like, man. I mean, I think the difference between me and a lot of my other reality TV co-stars, I guess you could call them, is I don't really actually view myself as a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like in my opinion, even if people want to call it that, it's like a Z-list celebrity status. Like trust me, I'm not getting the same private jets that Leo's getting. If I walk up to a place that's fully packed up, being like, hey, put my table next to Bradley Cooper, Bradley Cooper's gonna look at me and be like, who are you? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's just how I look at it, where it's like, I'm on TV, but a lot of these reality people, they look at themselves on TV and it's like, oh, that means that I'm famous and that means that I'm better than everybody else. And they even do that not just with like regular people, but they do it with like their other castmates. And like that's a little ridiculous to me because, like I said, I mean, I've mainly been on competition shows, so I'm only really going there to compete and win the money, and whatever else happens. But I'm not there putting on for the camera. I'm just being myself. And if you don't like that, cool. But I don't really like to compare myself to other reality people in the sense of being like, oh well, you know what, like, you have less followers than me, or you get attacked. Like I feel like these reality people could be leading by example and like helping mold the youth in this country. And even like, I'm not like crazy old, I'm 30 years old, but people in their 20s, and even people in their early 30s, they could be molding a mentality that is positive, but instead they just set like the wrong example. Like I feel like they always resort back to like the nobody likes you, middle school and high school insults, and like, it's just, I'm 30 years old, it's young, but I'm way too old to be caught up in like middle school and high school stuff. And I feel like I could just make more of an impact by just being positive and ignoring it. I wasn't always that way. I mean, when I first came off of Big Brother, I was answering all the trolls, but I have now grown into that headspace where I'm like, you know what? I'm only going to answer the positive people. I'm only going to answer the people who are supportive of me and what I'm doing, because you know what? They get it. And anybody who doesn't, I don't need to respond to them because they clearly don't get it.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. I mean, there's no point in even giving that negative energy attention and then, letting it get to you, because then ultimately they end up winning in some, aspect of it.
Right.
Because they got to you.
Yeah. And I think most of them try and do it for fun anyway.
Yeah.
Like trolls be like, oh, hey, they probably send the group chat, be like, hey, let's see if we can get a rise out of Paulie today. And then they're sitting laughing about it, and I'm letting it affect my life. And I'm like, why am I letting that affect my life?
Sure.
It shouldn't affect my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I had seen that you had some sort of altercation on Twitter with Paul from Big Brother.
Oh, that was a while ago, man.
Yeah,
that was
but that's what you're post Big Brother, but going back maybe at least 2 years.
I mean, even that was like a year later, man.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, and that, it was foolish, but like it is what it is. I can't stand fake people.
Sure.
And I can't stand people who go on online and social media, and they'll try and bully people because they do have a crazy, following. But that doesn't mean I'm going to back down just because it's like, oh, man, I shouldn't start stuff. It's like, at the end of the day, excuse me, it's like the same thing I say when it comes to, like, my male castmates in the challenge. It's like everybody talks all that smack on Twitter. When it comes down to it, when it has come down to it, when it's face-to-face, I'm in the same area. Nobody really wants anything, you know what I mean? Like, I don't brag about it, but it's like I grew up. I know how to defend myself, I was a wrestler. I do a whole bunch of different martial arts. And aside from that, it's like I didn't learn all my fighting from controlled environments like wrestling mats and cages. You learn everything about fighting, like actually getting into street fights where it's like all of a sudden somebody bites you and bites a chunk out of your skin, and how do you handle that? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what happens if somebody shows up with like a weapon?
Right.
Not to condone violence or anything, but it's like I don't try and pretend like I'm something I'm not, but when other people try and come at my character, when we all know what the truth is, that's where that whole thing stemmed from. I think it's because, cameras were down and, like, something had happened, like, right before Zakia got eliminated where, I was basically, it hit me like, oh, my God, these guys that I was working with, like, they're stabbing me in the back. So, like,
right.
Paul, James, Victor, they were all stabbing me in the back. And I'm like, hey, man, I thought we were all cool, and once I found out, like, obviously I lost my shit.
Sure.
And I started getting in their faces, being like, you know what, like, if we weren't in here, I'd put you through a fucking wall and all that stuff. But it's right before the live eviction, so
of course
cameras are down, so that's what they went based off of, and that's what I couldn't stand online, because then James got involved, and he was like, oh, well, if it wasn't on camera, if it wasn't on the live feeds, then it obviously didn't happen. It's like, but you guys all know it happened.
Yeah.
Everybody else knew it happened. And then my whole thing is, it's like, if I'm sitting there and, like, Paul and James and Vic, like, all these people, like, they have come out as being like, yeah, we're badasses. Well, I'm the first person to be like, hey, man, we can fight for fun. Like, you got a gym that you train at? Like, cool, because I've got gyms on, on the East Coast, like, where I train at.
Yeah.
If anybody ever had a problem with me, I'd be like, hey, next time you're in New York, like, come to one of these gyms. We'll scrap it out, shake hands afterwards, get a beer, get some food, and that's it.
Right.
But I think what ended up happening is they ended up tagging, like, the New Jersey State Police, being like, this person's threatening my life,
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then I delete the tweets, and then it's like, oh, you're going to tweet all hard and then delete it? Don't worry, tough guy. And I'm like, hold on a second. You just tagged the New Jersey State Police saying that you feel threatened for your life, and now I'm deleting the tweets because I'm trying to hide the evidence.
Right.
And now you're saying that I was talking all hard? Like, who's the one talking all hard here? You called the police, man. That's like 101 bitch status, in my opinion, you know what I mean? Like, snitches get stitches type thing. But it's a different world, man, and I've learned that, and I've grown from that, where it's like, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not like when I was younger, and, like, if somebody's talking smack, you just punch them in the mouth, and that's it. Or you have to learn how to defend yourself if you are talking smack, because you'll get punched in the mouth. It's just a different world, man. Reverse victimization is a thing, and I feel like reality stars, they use it way too much, and it's teaching kids to do the same thing. So now kids can, like, jump on, someone and bully them, and then when that person reacts, they're the bad person.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's like 5 or 6 people bullying this one kid, and the kid snaps, hits a bunch of them, or does, answers back, fires back, and then they're sitting there being like, oh, I feel attacked, I feel threatened. It's like, for every action, there's a reaction, there's a consequence. That's how I was, brought up, at least. So that's just my take on that. I definitely don't answer back anybody that comes at me on Twitter, and Lord knows everybody's lining up on Twitter to come at me, because whether they want to get casted on the challenge or whether they just want the likes and retweets, they're going to say my name, and they're going to get the engagement that they're looking for, so I'm not going to feed it anymore.
Well, you know what? I think that you have a good mindset on that, and you ultimately you defend yourself, but at the same point in time, you keep it what it is, you keep it real, and people can't say anything otherwise. But talk more on the challenge. I haven't actually. I was saying to you before we started, I didn't watch the challenge, and I felt stupid because that's like you're like the face of the challenge now. It's like that's like your big thing. But like,
don't tell Johnny Bananas that.
I don't even. I know like Josh Martinez is on it. But I don't know. I saw like the upcoming promo. I think that you were like gonna fight someone or something like that.
I definitely
like
was
holding you back or some shit. Not till I'm not saying that I don't like believe that or whatever. It's just like it just looks like it's really intense, and that's what kind of drew me into like wanting to start watching that.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out, man. I mean, once again, it's the same space. I mean, I'm working my way up. I'm hustling really hard. I've seen a lot of success in it, and I'm blessed for every opportunity that I get to go back on and get to compete and get to perform. There's times where people get to me and I snap and I try and get after them, and thank God that there is security there. One thing that I am trying to work on is trying to control that, because when I do snap, I do black out out of anger. So it's like I don't drink, so you'll never see me drinking alcohol. But it's a scary thing to know that if security isn't there, put me in sleeper holds, and even that's not stopping me from trying to get to someone. What would actually happen if I did get to someone, which is what I'm trying to like filter out, because I'm realizing that most of the time people come at me because I'm good.
Yeah.
I compete really well. I win the challenges. I win a lot of the dailies and all that stuff. And it's hard to get me out. And when people want me out, they have to beat me in an elimination, which is also very hard to do.
Yeah.
So with that comes a lot of people always trying to push your buttons while you're in there. I play a lot of mind games myself, so it should be easy for me to look at other people trying to poke me, being like, oh, well, they're trying to do the same thing that I do to everybody else. But when you get in the moment and they say certain trigger words that stem from like things that have happened in my past and things that are currently going on, there's certain trigger words that definitely still trigger me. So that's something that I'm working on. I talk to a therapist all the time to like not let those trigger words kind of like set me off. But when you're in that environment, it gets a little crazy. But it's definitely a show to watch. And if you're a fan of Big Brother and you want something a little bit more intense, you watch the challenge.
Yeah. That's what I was just about to say. That it seems like Big Brother on steroids kind of ordeal, like
right.
And it seems like most people that watch Big Brother kind of carry over to that because you get a lot of the same cast, but like just a lot more challenges and wild shit. So what is it? It's like multiple seasons. You can be on season after season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can be on multiple seasons. I mean, that depends what you bring to the table.
So they bring some new people in and keep some old people as well.
Yeah, they keep old people. They bring new people in. They first started bringing people on Vendettas. I was supposed to be on Vendettas, but I injured my ankle the night before we were supposed to fly out. Tore all the ligaments in my ankle.
Shit.
So I was on the next season. Was able to make it to the final on my rookie season. Unfortunately, I lost by a minute and a half. Next season that aired that I was on, made it all the way to the end, won the most daily challenges, and then got purged right before the final. And this season that's going to air, we'll see what happens. But I think they I've been blessed that they keep bringing me back because I'm not just drama. I'm also able to be strategic, which I think is what people will see in this next season, that I played more of a Big Brother game and I was able to really be effective in that manner where, in past seasons I've just been able to rely on my athletic ability.
Right. So there's a social aspect to it as well in this game too.
Certain games there are, depends on the format. So
right.
On the most recent one that aired, really didn't have to do any politics because it was if you win, you're safe. If you lose, the person down there has to be confident enough to call you out because they think they can beat you. So I was in a very fortunate position where I won more than half of the challenges, and then when I didn't win, people were too afraid to call me out. So that was that, I got myself out at the end. So this season was definitely a little different. I will say that it was way more heavy with the social game and the politics, so I had to learn very quick, and we'll see how effective I was.
Right. So you might just tell me to go and watch the show at this point in time. So how you're saying you get purged to be eliminated?
There's
how do
certain
people vote you
challenges. No, there's certain challenges where it's like if you make a mistake and you mess up, and you come in last place, like you're out.
Oh, okay.
So I got unfortunately picked to go first, and
got the worst score or like time
I ended up
or whatever.
falling,
Right.
5 times.
Right.
On my head. So it's
Right.
like at that point hypothermia was like kicking into my body because I was falling into like freezing cold water from like 50 feet in the air.
Oh shit.
So my neck was getting all messed up and everything. And then after that everybody learned from my mistakes and was able to just kind of take their time and go through it. So it's just the luck of the draw, you know what I mean? Any
Right.
other day I could have been picked different. I just happened to get picked first more than half the time that season.
Yeah. So where did this past season take place that you were just at?
So we're not officially supposed to say where we're at unless they name it there.
The last one that aired, at least.
Yeah, the last one that aired, we can't say. They just referred to it as the middle of nowhere because we were basically in a desert.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So that's it. Like, for instance, this next one, we're not allowed to say where it is. It's just it took place in the jungle.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So,
but
it's
sense.
all over the world.
Right.
So that's another cool aspect is to get to travel.
Yeah.
See all different cultures and all that stuff. So that's really opened my eyes to a lot.
Yeah. No, that's huge. Also, I mean, and that definitely helps you feel more, accomplished and less, angry by the shit that's going on when you're in the same space all the time. To be able to travel and see new shit. You're constantly getting new energy and shit.
Yeah.
So that's
it's definitely easier mentally than Big Brother. That's for sure.
Right.
Much easier mentally than Big Brother. This is like a cakewalk mentally. Big Brother is just such a mental mind fuck.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, because it's more of a mental race than just physical. You're trying to make deals with each and every person, and if you say something too much,
Plus, there's no way to defend yourself. You know what I mean? Like once you're there, when people want you gone, you're gone.
Yeah.
And once you're in that house, you're locked up, and they do things to try and mess with your psyche. Whether it's punishments, whether it's if you're a have-not in the diary room, you know what I mean? Like they really make you question who you're working with and all that stuff. So at least in the challenge, like if you get blindsided and backstabbed, you get to fight. Like in Big Brother, if your alliance turns on you, like when they did to me, I'm sitting up there on the block. There's nothing I can do about it. You know?
Yeah. You have to be good if you want to stay in the house,
Yeah,
or if you fight, you're just even more so like sealing the deal.
Right. And like that veto that I had that time, it was like a catapult. You know what I mean? So it was like a luck of the draw, crapshoot. Anybody could win it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something mental, it wasn't something physical where I actually could have had a chance to do it. But in the challenge, what I like more is like if you're gonna work with me, cool. But eventually it gets to a point where, like, if you are going to screw me over, you better make sure that I go home.
Right.
Because if I go to the elimination floor and I come back, now I know that you screwed me over. Now you may not have been my target, but now you're my target.
Yeah.
So that's where I think I've seen more success in the challenge world than the Big Brother world because it exposes people.
Of course. And you have more, say in kind of defending your own rather than Big Brother's just kind of like
Exactly.
fake bullshit in some sense.
Exactly. It's so fake. I mean, look at the season that's on now. It's like everybody...
I was going to ask you, have you been watching that?
I haven't been watching it, but like
It's
I caught a
super
couple
corny.
episodes, and like all it is like it's people talking smack in other rooms, and it's like I'm going to say it right to their face, and then they come in, it's like, oh, hey, so... just wanted you to know that like this is what was said to me, but like I still love you anyway. It's like you were just talking so hard.
Yeah.
Like talk... Like
that was the thing I enjoyed about your season and Cody's season. Not that him and Derek really said much, but like just the gameplay was so much better. And like nowadays it's just corny. I can't get into it as much. I still watch it just because I'm a big huge Big Brother fan, but it's not the same. I feel like even just the evolution of technology and social media has kind of ruined it because everyone can put their shit out there and just kind of like, if they don't like a specific person, like that guy Jack this season. I don't know if you remember him, man. He got
I only saw him get eliminated.
He got such a bad. I mean, he did do like quite a few fucked up things, but like again, like when you're in that environment, like crunched in there with all those people, like. obviously, like, you know, my opinion of him might not be how he actually is acting. You know, like the
Right.
cameras really, you know, kind of try to, the production team tries to depict a specific image for, like, you know, like you as like a heel or something like that.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, and then
I've definitely embraced my heel role.
Paul as the good guy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know, they really pushed that in that season. But at the same point in time,
Yeah.
it was fun to watch just because, you know, at least you guys were like straight up with each other and not, you know, like, I still love you, blah blah blah. Like, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
You know.
we were definitely very straight up. I think I was straight up with everybody in that sense, and I think that's where a lot of people have a lot to say about me, where it's like, hey, sorry, I'm not going to be fake.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, it's like nobody's perfect. So I don't really know much about like what happened with Jack, but all I can say is it's like you can just look at it from Paul, period. Like, he was the hero on my season because he got rid of the villain, right? But then he was the villain on that next following season, and Cody was, you know, Nixon was the hero because, you know, he was against him.
Yeah.
You know, didn't matter because Paul still made it to the end.
Yeah.
But that's just how it is. He said dumb things, and what he was doing, like, he didn't change from Big Brother 18 to Big Brother 19. He did the same thing. Like, when he wanted people eliminated, he would get a group of people, he would bully them, he would make them feel isolated, and then they went. It unfortunately bit him in the butt twice because it left bitter tastes in jury's.
Second place 2 years in a row.
Yeah, jury members' mouths, and, you know, you could call it bitter jury or whatever, but part of playing the game of Big Brother is jury management.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that 2 seasons in a row. So he really didn't learn from his mistakes because he was never checked or shown that what he was doing was wrong. And after the first one, it was like, you know, I got second place, but whatever.
That's
You
why
know?
I hate to say it about Cody's season, but 16 was definitely my favorite just because Derek just played such an incredible friggin'
Well,
game.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They were the best.
You could
The
not
Hitman-
like him or Cody, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they were just such good guys, and, like, you know, flawlessly, like, the competitions on that show, like, every single person on that, Caleb was ridiculous.
They had really
Frankie
great
Grande
characters.
was ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, they had great characters. They were all competitive. They were
Yeah.
all intelligent.
Yeah.
What Cody and Derek did is one of the most amazing things that any alliance could ever do.
Unheard
the Hitmen.
of to make it to the final two.
And then Derek's gameplay was
Flawless.
amazing. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. Like, in this past season of the challenge, like, I implemented some of his gameplay
yeah.
because it's stuff that these challengers have never seen before.
Right.
And when you've never seen it before, it's dangerous, and it definitely works.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, that season was just, I mean, obviously the season after was, man, it was
season 17
and then
was like
your,
a wash.
your season was pretty damn good, and then
Yeah.
after that, I feel like it just kind of fell off, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like season 20 was all right. I mean, I kind of watched a little bit of it,
Yeah.
you know, but there's some good characters from there. Like, I feel like they just need to bring people in that understand the game and, like, aren't just Instagram models or, like, California models, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
some of
all it
these
is
guys
now.
and girls are that, like, you got to understand, like, even though my brother looks like he's a model,
he was a beast at those freaking
yeah, but not
challenges.
even that. Like,
Yeah.
we've watched Big Brother since season 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, we've watched it.
Yeah,
we
of
know the
course.
game. We've gotten live feeds at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, same thing with me in the challenge. It's like, I'm there, but I've watched it. So it's like nobody can pull one over on me, like, in terms of the vets, because I've already seen all their gameplay. So if, like, they don't change things up, I'm going to be like, all right, yeah, no. This is exactly what you're trying to do, and I'm not falling for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like when we were preparing to be professional athletes, we watch soccer all the time. You watch it so that you learn the game, so you understand the game. So if you ever have to play against certain people, you know what their tendencies are.
Yeah.
You know? So with Big Brother, you don't get that because...
It's like watching film.
Yeah, but with Big Brother, it's brand new every season.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So you have to
Besides
adapt
Big Brother, yeah,
with the
exactly.
film that you know. But, like,
you
the
don't
challenge,
know
it's like...
you don't know
I've
the
watched all
players
the
you're going to
film.
get thrown in Big Brother, and that kind of really
Exactly.
depends on the whole game because, you know, the personalities kind of really play into it, and
Yeah.
certain people just might fuck it up, you know?
Yeah, it's very true.
But, yeah, no, I mean, you definitely were a relatable character in your season just because, I mean, you know, even growing up, like, I felt like anytime, like, I was, you know, bullied or whatever, I stood up for myself, and I always was attacked even for that, but it just felt more right to stand up for myself. My dad always said, never give in, like always stand up for yourself, like. So that's why I was pulling for you in your season, but unfortunately, it didn't really work out. Soccer wise, what have you still been playing professionally, or you just done with that altogether?
No, I mean I stopped that. I mean I stopped playing at like a very competitive level, like when I was 24.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I attempted to want to come back, and get a look, but then that's when I injured my ankle. And then that's when I went into the MTV world.
I had seen that when you left Big Brother, you and Cody, I think, were doing like soccer camps or something like that for kids.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a soccer company. Okay. My brother and father, they run it now because I live in Montana.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, we started a soccer company in Jersey, so we run camps, we do private training, we do team training, we do all that stuff. Right. But yeah, man, I mean, it's all about giving back, Can't just always be selfish all the time. And just do things for you. I mean, you have to be selfish in the sense that you have to look out for yourself. But if you're only doing everything for yourself, then what are you really doing in terms of impact in this world?
Of course. As far as your YouTube page, I see that you have like a bunch of different, like topics that you cover, within. I love the title of it too, Waking the Lion, just because it's like, for me, every morning, because I ride my bike to work every day, like it's like I have to wake the lion to be like, all right, get your ass in gear and like start going, whatever else. But I think that what you're saying is there's more to it than just the exercise or the motivation aspect. Like you've got a ton of different things within there. I mean, like judgment. Like I was watching that one just because that shit's huge. Like you sometimes you get pulled into it without even realizing that like you're judging someone else, but like at the same point in time, like.
Yeah.
You almost can't help it because it's like they're doing it to themselves, but then you tell yourself, like, no, like, don't be like that because you wouldn't want people to be judging you. And it's a dirty habit to, like, get into,
Exactly. It's, I try to lead by example as much as I can. And once again, that's why playing these competition games is so hard, and that's why when people watch the Big Brother live feeds and all that stuff, I always say watch it with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, it is a game, right? So I may be sitting there listening to you say something that I necessarily don't agree with, right? But it might not be the time to call you out on it yet.
Yeah.
I may want to save that information to call you out or to say it to somebody else in order to start manipulating how they view you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So everything's got to be taken with a grain of salt, especially when people are on like reality TV. And even outside of it, I always try and look at things from like a third party perspective. And a lot of people nowadays, like it's like you either have one opinion or not. And if you don't have the opinion that somebody has, then they just demonize you and they want to attack you.
Yeah.
My whole thing with that is it's like you have to look at everything from a third party perspective. So I may not agree with somebody's point of view, but I'm going to look at it from their perspective.
Exactly.
That way I'm not demonizing them for their views, but also at the end of the day, I have the choice. I have the choice to want to deal with that person. So I may not like something you say, but it's my choice to, if I know you, be like, hey man, like, look, I don't like what you said. If that's how you truly feel, then, we can't be friends. And that's it. I move on. So many people, like, they have such an opinion, but at the same time, they're hypocritical of their own opinions. And they don't abide by the same things that they complain about. So, like, I see it all the time just from reality people where it's like they try their hardest to come at people's character when their character is not perfect.
100%.
And I feel like that's the society we live in now, where people try and get themselves on a moral high horse and look down on others because that makes them feel better.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't need to do that. I don't care if you're doing worse than me. I don't care if you're a terrible person. I can choose to either, take advantage of that and be like, oh yeah, you're a terrible person and bash you publicly, or I could just not deal with you. You know what I mean? And if you're seeing success, I could choose to try and discredit your success, or I can just praise you. I mean, here's the thing about successful people is they're not worried about anybody else's success, and they have no problem praising people because they're successful in their own right. So they don't feel the need to pull people down. The only people that feel the need to pull down other people's successes are people who aren't successful.
Yeah.
People who fail at things and people who haven't learned how to do things on their own, so they expect everything to be given to them. So, of course, people are going to look and be like, oh, man, why does he get to be on the challenge? I should be on the challenge. Trash him, trash him, trash him. Character this, character that. Let me try and do this. It's like, well, you can do things to be a better choice for the challenge, but did you do those things like when you had your opportunity? And if you didn't get your opportunity, okay, so what?
Yeah.
How do you get your opportunity? Instead of figuring that out, they'd rather take a shortcut. But the shortcut never has staying power. And that's what I've always found is that, like, you can't fake happiness. You can't fake success. And when you take shortcuts to doing things, it doesn't last because you don't know the formula to stay. So you never have staying power.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying I know the formula to staying on reality TV, but I'm saying being my real authentic self and not trying to say and do what I think people want me to say and do, and not coming up with my own storyline and narrative before going on to a show because I'm trying to get camera time. I think that's what gets me the camera time, and that's what gets me called back, is that I am just naturally authentic.
I was just going to say that.
I'm just real.
Your authenticity is
it gets appreciated.
It's glowing, too.
You know what I mean?
You can tell, like, it comes off of you rather than you're not trying to be this type of person or that type of person. You're just being you, and, people adapt to it because, it's appealing rather than being like, oh, this person has this driven, plan that they want to be within this show or anything in life, and it's just like you can see right through them, and it's like drop the act, But
there's some people that have done it for so long that they are very good at it, and it is something that you can become very good at. But like I said, you have to do it. Like there's people who've been on 15, 16 seasons. You know what I mean? Like they just know the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they stay on top of it. Like, you'll never catch them slipping. You know what I mean? So it's not short-lived. They figured out the formula, and they stay doing it. You know what I mean? And, like, only if you're from that, from that world, you pick up on it, where you could be like, oh, okay, so this person, every single season, finds a new person to hook up with. This is the drama they start. They go home, but they know they're going home early because they're not good enough to last. So they do XYZ, and that's just their niche. That's just what they do. And they're always going to either be the funny person, they're always going to be the controversial person, the emotional person. They know what it is that they are, and they just do it. You know what I mean? I still haven't figured out what I am yet. I feel like I change. I don't know if I'll ever become a babyface again. You know what I mean? So I'm just embracing being the heel. And I just don't let anything affect me.
Right.
Because you just got to be authentic. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to be the villain, then I am going to be the villain. Fine. I can totally be the villain, whether I think I'm the villain or not. I'm just going to be me. If it's interpreted as the villain, cool. I'm not going to sit there and apologize and try and explain myself and be like, oh, I'm so sorry that you didn't like that I said that to this person in that manner. I'm going to be like, yeah, I said it. I had reasons to say it, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Unless it's something, like, completely fucked up.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm never going to apologize for being competitive and calling somebody out on their shit because I'm not an idiot. I'm an intelligent person. I know how to debate. I know how to do all these things. And if you are full of shit, I'm going to find the loopholes within your story, and I'm just going to poke at them, And eventually, if I poke at it long enough, it's going to annoy you because you know you're being fake and you know you're being inauthentic. And then when you explode, that's when I sit there and I laugh. Be like, well, why are you exploding? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to say personal fucked up things, bring people's personal lives into it, attack their character, but I know when someone's being full of shit. So if someone's like, oh, I'm a competitor, I'm great, I'm going to be like, no, you're not. You're bad,
Yeah.
It's like...
Or prove it.
Prove it.
Yeah. Call them out on their bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Prove their, whatever their statement is not, legit or whatever. But
right.
I think that, like, most of the time, especially with the judgment thing, like, people are just, like, 95% of the time, I think I heard something like that, they're just jealous of whatever they're really judging. So that's really why they even, bring it up to begin with. I don't know what the other 5% is that, beyond that, but maybe they're just, fucking crazy. But
some people, it's learned, man. So like, unfortunately, like parents have such a huge role
totally
in their kids. So like, if you're raised to judge people, you're gonna judge people. If you're raised to complain about other people's success, you're gonna do it. If you're raised to just want, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that come from, internal, like jealousy, and you have to be aware of that and you have to control it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I used to have a terrible jealousy issue when I was in middle school and high school. I kept that shit. And I said, if I don't stop being this way, I'm going to implode. I'm going to have a miserable life. So now it's like, I don't care about what anybody else has, but that's where judgment comes from, is everybody's like, well, why that person? Why do they get to date that person instead of me? Why do they get to compete on this show instead of me? Why do they get to have a fitness program instead of me? Why do they have all this? Instead of saying, what can I do to get that? Like, yeah, okay, you may not be able to date who I date, but like you can find somebody that has those same qualities,
right?
And date them. You can get on shows if you want to.
Yeah,
it's not that hard. It's just, what do you want to be? Are you sure you want to open yourself up to that? You can do the things that I do, but you got to work. You got to do it. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's handed to anybody. So before you judge someone else, look at yourself in the mirror and be like, well, what am I doing? Am I doing what they do? And now, like, nobody knows how hard I work behind the scenes.
Right.
So they only see the final products of things. Like, nobody sees all the rehab that I have to go through. Like, yeah, I posted a little bit on my story, but like all the rehab I got to go through on my ankles, my knees, my back, my neck, just so that I can train again. And then the training that I go through in order to be successful on these shows, like, it is almost a full-time job. Some would argue it is a full-time job because I'm spending 4 or 5 hours of my day, rehab, therapy, and training. The rest of it is figuring out what I got to do in order to have something outside of the shows, and working on those, and then I also have to be involved in social media because I have to have engagement in order for the show. So it's a full-time job. You can't judge me for it. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes,
100%,
and that's it.
What's the deal with the whole the YouTube now? Like, it seemed you haven't done one in a while. You're just like chilling on that for a bit.
It's been a while. I'm just chilling a little bit because it's hard when you go away, you film for 3 months, and then you got to get home, you got to travel, do appearances, and do all these other things.
Sure.
But I am looking to roll it out again. I'm looking to start it up probably in October.
Okay.
And then I'm looking to get it back in full force, like, once the new year comes. There's just a lot of things that I have that I need to get done, that I need to get started. So I put this on pause for a little bit, and I'm looking to get it started probably January, full force, full swing, and everything. Same with my podcast. I've taken off for a little bit on that, but I'm looking to get that in full swing.
Is that not a podcast?
No, this is just a YouTube channel.
It's just like inspirational videos.
Yeah, just inspirational videos. Podcast is something completely different.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, I would say I would consider that to be, like, somewhat of a podcast. It's, the term is kind of loose just because, like, the same shit that we're doing here right now.
Right.
I guess that's more like a one-person shoot, but, like, you're doing the same shit. You're just having a conversation, like a monologue, as opposed to us talking.
This is kind of a monologue.
Yeah,
my podcast is more like bringing guests on.
Okay,
and doing
so
all that stuff.
You have guests.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
Doing that, but I am gonna change it. Get guests on, do like short little blurbs on it. Eventually, what I want to do is I want to be recording my videos for the YouTube and the podcast at the same time. So it's like, if you want to watch the videos, cool. If you got time, just throw it on. If not, just put your podcast on.
Yeah.
While you're driving.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's what I love about podcasts, and then you can keep up with what people are, that you actually like to follow or doing and whatever
Exactly.
else. I'm gonna wrap this up in a second. I just wanted to see. Do you have anything else upcoming that, like, you can talk about, or?
The only thing I can say is, the new season of the challenge airs August 28th, which is next week. It's 6 days away, so tune in.
Awesome.
See if I'm still the villain, see if I go from villain to hero, or, see if I'm just going to stay a villain for my time on TV.
Hell yeah.
Who knows?
I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to start from the beginning. What season? How many
I started
seasons
on Final Reckoning. There's
a ton.
This is the 34th season.
Okay, but if I wanted to start with like the first season you were on, what would that?
32.
32. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
If you want to start with I'm on 32.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out. I really appreciate you coming down here today.
Yeah, man,
it was
of
awesome
course.
meeting you, and I hope that some of the other people that follow you and are a fan of you got to check this out and appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, hopefully, I could only do the podcast, man. Whether people listen to them or not, that's not on me. It's so crazy because I've done so many podcasts. I've done so many interviews, and what I have found is that the people who don't like me, they're always going to not like me because they don't want to listen or read something that might change how they view me. Like, that's something that people don't want to do. They hate being proven wrong.
Yeah.
And it's the craziest thing in the world. So it's like, I can do these things, but, the people that love me, they'll listen. Yeah, maybe more people will listen if they start to change from hating me to loving me. But, if they have a viewpoint of me, they're going to keep that viewpoint, which is why I choose to never focus on those negative people anymore. It's just the positive people. I only want to show the people that show me love. I want to show them love, because it's not fair if like you're showing me love all the time and I'm only responding to the negative people. It's like, hey man, I'm showing you love. I'm right here.
Yeah.
100%. That's what I want to focus on.
100%.
But I'm excited, man. I've had a really good time talking with you.
Yeah,
Chill,
man.
dude. I love it.
Yo, I think we should close on that. Really appreciate it.